Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we're going to have another wish listing video. This one is 10 things I'd like to see about the Legion of Azgorh. The Legion of Azgorh, also known as the Chaos Dwarves, are an army actually produced by Forge World and not a part of the main line of Age of Sigmar. I was asked to do this list by one of the people on our Facebook groups, and I hope you all enjoy my ideas for the army from Forge World. So, without further ado, let's get cracking into this, and this is 10 things I'd like to see for Legions of Azgorh. Number 1, make them a mainstay GW range. So as I said, this army is currently produced by Forge World, and it has a sort of unloved sort of relationship with them at the moment. There are no new models and there haven't been for quite some time, and it just feels like it's only a matter of time before this potentially may go away forever. I would like to see the Chaos Dwarves brought into the main Age of Sigmar universe. I think they have a very unique aesthetic. They really give something different to the game, and there's not really anything else like them in it. Plus they have that sort of over-the-top aesthetic that Age of Sigmar is all about. For me, it just doesn't make sense to get rid of them. It makes sense to keep them and actually bring them more into Age of Sigmar. Point number 2 though, with this range there is a limit on the heroes. We have a mounted dude on the Great Taurus, and there's not really a lot of other hero war scrolls outside him, the Damon Smith, and a few other smaller characters. I think a generic hero on a Taurus, or even characters on Lamassus and other things beside, would be some really cool creatures and mounted heroes to bring into the Chaos Dwarf universe. For me, this would just increase their range, give them more options, and potentially lead to other different variations of Chaos Dwarf units. Number 3, I want the Damon Smiths to have hero versions of some of their war machines. So, as we've seen with the Steam Tank for the Cities of Sigmar, you can now have the Steam Tank Commander, which is a really cool addition that allows you to make armies of entire artillery trains, and an army full of Steam Tanks. I think the Chaos Dwarves could really do with this and have potentially Damon Smith heroes inside some of their war machines, this allowing you to take actual artillery companies and artillery trains of entire war machine armies of your Chaos Dwarves. This is a really cool thing, and while it may not necessarily be the most powerful thing in the world potentially, but it could be a really unique and cool looking army on the table, and it's something I think a lot of Chaos Dwarf players would actually like to be able to do. Point number 4, bring back the Hobgoblins. So those who've been playing Chaos Dwarves for a while, back when they were called Chaos Dwarves and not Legions of Azgorh, will remember the Hobgoblins. These were hardy goblins that lived in the Darklands where the Chaos Dwarves lived, and they sort of were a slaved race to the Chaos Dwarves. I think bringing back this sort of slaved race to the Chaos Dwarves would be a really cool thing to do, and give them, some cheap units to be able to use in different ways than what their other Chaos Dwarf units and war machine function. Point number 5. So with every army you need a lore or spell lore, and for Chaos Dwarves, they're unlike other dwarves. They have magic. It's slowly turning their wizards to stone, but they do use magic, and this is just something against dwarf nature. I propose for their lore to be called the Lore of Dark Fire. This lore would take a mix of things of chaosy sort of nature and corruption, along with the amazing fiery sort of damage aesthetic. You're talking spells that might not only do mortal wounds, but also degrade or allow you to control what your opponent is doing by putting negatives to hit and other such debuffs on your opponent's units. Having access to a spell lore, of course, just enables their wizards to do that a little bit more on the table. Number 6. Chaos Dwarves are sort of lacking. They have the Bull Centaurs at current, which are sort of an elite cavalry monster unit. However, I think we should see some medium-sized infantry or larger infantry potentially for iron golems. So I know they've got giant machine golems, but what I'm talking about is maybe something the size of a troll, and these golem structures run by and powered up by the Chaos Dwarves, potentially even, benefiting from Daemon Smiths being nearby. This could be another cool thing to go along with the artillery train, and maybe a different variation of mechanized sort of list that the Chaos Dwarves could use in Age of Sigmar. Point number 7. This one, I think, is probably one of the most interesting points, and something I really hope to see if Chaos Dwarves ever do get a proper upgrade in Age of Sigmar, and that is airships. I want to see what a Chaos Dwarf airship looks like. Like, we've got the fantastic models from the Caradron Overlords of the Gun Haulers, the Archanaut Frigates, and the Ironclads. They're all fantastic models and really cool. And I wonder what chaotic versions we could come up with the Chaos Dwarves. We could have obviously very different things, and maybe they're infused with daemon powers like the rest of their artillery. And so we have these daemon engines that are powered by just the daemons inside them themselves that go to war against the Caradron and other skyfaring races. Along with this all, I want to see a fully fleshed out roster for some daemons of Hashut. Hashut is the Chaos Dwarves god. He is a lesser Chaos god that has taken them under his wing when they ran and fled the mountains. I'd like to see some fire demons. We of course have the Kadai Fireborn at the moment, but I'd like to see this aesthetic pushed more and more and given something else to sort of go with. Maybe some smaller fire little demons and fire monstrosities, along with maybe even endless spells, potentially of a fire demon nature. This of course would lead to summoning being a thing within the Chaos Dwarves, and I think something that would actually be really cool and for an addition to the army. Summoning allows armies to just have that little bit extra edge to them, and I think Chaos Dwarves would do really well to have that potential tactical option available to them. Point number 9. Almost skipped my gun there. For the terrain piece for the Chaos Dwarves, I want to see a Chaos Forge. I take the ideas somewhat from what the Fire Slayers are using with their Magma Forge, but Chaosify it and give them a Chaos Forge. This could potentially be a buff piece or a healing piece that allows war machines nearby it to heal, to get buffs, to have the daemons overcharged inside them, and in general be a great sort of base part that would allow your Chaos Dwarves to form a base of operations around that on the tabletop. Terrain is really cool when it interacts with the army in a meaningful way, and so using this as a place to put your artillery would be a really cool thing to do with this. Point number 10, we're there for real this time, and this is of course bringing them into the lore of Age of Sigmar properly. They of course do have a head. I forget the name of the named hero they currently have. I do remember the Bull Centaur dude as Shator the Executioner. I just can't remember the other name. I'm sorry. You can leave them down in the comments down below. But they obviously, if they're brought in from Forge World to a main GW range, they need their lore brought in as well. How do we fit these Chaos Dwarves into the current lore of Age of Sigmar? Well, it makes sense to obviously stick them in the realm of the realm of fire, because sort of the Forge Fires is what they're all about. We have had little bits of stories in the main core rulebook about cities and stuff of the Chaos Dwarves plotting up around the Mortal Realms. But we need more than that. We need a reason for them to be fighting and a reason for what they're doing in the Mortal Realms to be a thing. And so what is Hashut trying to do and trying to attain within the Mortal Realms is what we need to figure out. I personally do not have an idea for this, however I know it needs to happen, so I'd be interested to hear your opinions on what you'd like to see Hashut have his end goal as in the Mortal Realms. But that's enough for me, and that's 10 things I'd personally like to see in the Legions of Azgorh. I'd like to hear your opinions on what you would like to see from the Legion of Azgorh in the comments down below, and if there's a faction you would like to see me have a crack at doing this for that I haven't done already, please leave that in the comments as well. But that's enough rambling for me. Don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 800 now and pushing towards that 1000 mark and that goal. But thank you all. Don't forget to stay safe, stay well, and keep fighting that war against the Grey. I'll see you all later. Ciao for now.